So just while the guys are getting set up there, I'm going to kind of set a little bit of context for the panel. So this is all about people. This is about the importance of finding, hiring, onboarding, and developing the people in your organization that are going to really sort of make a difference for you. So, you know, think of the 10x developer. Where did you get them from, or how do you find them? Think about the product guy that doubled your conversion rates, or the sales guy that every single month sells twice as much as everybody else. So people are the real lifeblood of any SaaS business. And the panelists today, when they're ready to come on stage, will dive into some of the topics about how you find people, what the onboarding experience needs to be like, how you align them to your goals and to your vision and your values, how you evaluate and measure them, and how you ultimately grow the organization and grow the people within it. So without further ado, I'd like to invite the panel on the stage. Please give my panel a nice, warm welcome. So first question, really easy question. Maybe if each of you could just introduce yourself, talk about a little bit about your organization. Also tell me how many people are in the company and how long you've been going for. So maybe start with you, Benedicte.
Sure. So hi everyone. My name is Benedicte de Raphelis Soissan. I'm the CEO and founder of Clustree. So Clustree is an HR automated recommendation platform. We are using AI to deliver fact-based, proactive decision-making for both recruitment and career development. We're based in Paris. We are now 25%, going to 40 before the end of the year. And I started that adventure 3 years ago.
How about you, Phil?
Yeah, my name is Phil Chambers. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Peakon. We're focused on engagement, employee analytics. Really, the kind of object of buying Peakon is to increase engagement in your company, but also reduce regrettable churn. So we help mid-market to enterprise companies really focus on their attrition and the ways that they can reduce that. We are 70 staff across Copenhagen and London right now, and started the company in January 2015.
Cool. And Jonathan?
So I'm Jonathan. I'm the co-founder of Aircall. Aircall is a phone system and call center software for enterprise. We are about 70 people now in the world. We have offices in Paris, New York, and Berlin recently.
Great stuff. And listen, guys, I don't know if you've all used the Slido website yet. So if you have any questions through the panel, then please post them through slido.com. And we'll take those at the end as well. So just to kick things off, so Benedicte, I guess yours is the earliest stage company. Can you tell me a little bit about, you founded it 3 years ago. Who were the first people that you really wanted to get on board? What were some of the roles and what types of people did you want to bring into Clustree?
So I think that, my answer will strongly be related to the fact that I'm a sole founder and I'm more like a business person. So first roles will be, I think, a right balance between tech, product, and of course business. So as I'm a business person, it will be, of course, like a CTO, but maybe a former entrepreneur that has a real customer-centric vision as well. Then product manager with a UX UI sensibility. Data engineers, but someone that is able to build algorithm, but as well push code into production and not only build POC. And because we're a SaaS company, we're not here to do some code, but to do a solution for clients. Right. And maybe also software engineers, back end and front end. But I think that the most important maybe is not around skills or experience when you found your company, is to have people that are the same than you are, so same vision, same ambition. And I went to a conference last week and someone told me that, in fact, the most important is if you think you need to work 80 hours to build your company, you need to find people that think the same thing. Right. If they think you just need to work, 40 hours a week to do that, then you're not aligned with those person. So I think the most important after the roles and the skills, experience, everything, is to have people align with you so that you're not a crazy CEO on your side working a lot, but you have other people that can bring that leadership, that ambition, that vision, and spread that within the company, in fact.
Wow, so that's quite an ask, right? So quite a shopping list of different talents and also attitudes. So how do you go about finding these people? What are your sort of recruitment and hiring processes?
So we don't use Clustree to do that because we mainly focus on large companies, but in fact it really depends on the roles. But mainly we do a first call, like 15 minutes call, every time the same question. It helps to see if the person are sharp and smart. Then second step, it's an on-site interview where we're focusing more on is there like a good personality and a cultural fit. So we have some specific question depending on roles, but also generic question as, for instance, if you could build your own personal board, who will you choose?
Right.
Or tell me about a difficult conversation you had with a team member. And here the ambition is to have everyone in the company able to assess the cultural fit of a candidate. So it can be a front-end developer assessing like a salesperson so that you can really spread also the culture. And it's guys from Algolia that they do that and they share that with me. I think it's a good thing to do. Then, of course, we have exercises. So it depends on roles. But if I take the product manager example, the first exercise on site is market sizing, because we need to see if the person is data-driven. Then also like marketing use case, like who are Clustree competitors, how can we differentiate for them, things like that. A demo of the solution to get live feedback. And then we have a second exercise on site as well. We give them like a user story, and then they are supposed to produce some specifications and mock-ups. It's on site like 3 or 4 hours. They can have like chat with other people from the company to get data. And then they will show that and be challenged by 5 or 6 different functions within the company. After exercises, what we do is, of course, a reference call plus back channel, which is really important so that you can have some information of people that were not aware by the candidate that you will call them. And then the last thing we do is like we have a drink with the whole company and the candidates to see if there is a fit. And if someone in the company say, well, I don't have a fit with that person, we don't hire the person. For key position, as CTO, VP Sales, VP Marketing, we do some additional stuff. For instance, they meet our investors, and also we can make them challenged by external experts, for instance.
Wow, that's an incredibly well thought through process. And how about you, Phil? I mean, so you've built a few organizations in the SaaS space.
Yeah.
You know, how do you go about sort of finding people and designing your organization?
It's not quite as detailed as Benedicte's process. I'm not sure I'd get a job in Clustree at that. I think a lot of the things that Benedicte said though are true, right? You know, I think we found that exercise, no matter what position, is a great leveler. And I think one of the things it adds is really a sense of how much does someone really want this job? Because you get a lot of people applying for jobs curiously who don't actually necessarily want them that much. And there's some really basic stuff, like when you're looking in product manager screening interviews, like if you get anyone who hasn't like logged into your product, then you know I just put the phone down on them immediately. Right. And these are, you know, like tricks of the trade you've learned after a while, because, you know, back in the day I had people who got to second rounds who hadn't done that, which
it's amazing that happens.
It's incredible, but you know it happens all of the time. Yeah, I think and the cultural fit, like, it's very important to take references. Like, you should never ever skip that step. And I've definitely been burnt in previous jobs where we have skipped that step, and then you talk to someone later on and said, "Oh, I would have told you never hire that person." And you're like, right, we just wasted 3 months. Yeah, I think Benedicte gave you a best-in-class answer there.
And how about you, Jonathan? Just to sort of cap that point off about, you know, finding and recruiting the right people. How do you go about it?
I mean, we invest a lot in that because we grew quite fast in the past 2 years. We went from being 4 people to being almost 70. So we had to put a lot of processes in place. We, of course, very early, and that's an advice I can give to any founder of startup, get someone doing the hiring for you. Don't make the hunting. It takes too much time. And your time is really important at that time of your business. So hire someone sounds expensive, but it will be cheaper than going directly with recruiters, at least for the beginning. And then, you know, we have a whole process of the number of people you meet depending on the team you will be on. But fun fact, even support guys will meet 6, 7 people, because we want to make sure they will be into our culture, they will accept the people they will work with. So it's really important for us. Before, like, the talent and so on, we want like to build a culture at Aircall, so we want them to meet everyone as much as possible. And the last stage, actually, the last step of the recruiting is that we do a lunch with the entire team, just to feel like, hey, is the guy actually like a cool guy that you would see yourself having a coffee or a drink in a bar, which is quite important in our case, actually.
So assuming anybody actually makes it through, jumps through those hoops and makes it into Aircall, what do? How do you then get them up to speed really quickly? What sort of methods do you have?
So basically, depending on the team you come in, each team has its own onboarding process. So it was made by the manager and then by every person that was onboarded. So you have a list of things that you're supposed to do. So it's like a big Google Doc with like maybe 3 pages. So every day you have a specific objective of what you're supposed to do, who you're supposed to meet, and every single person that you will meet, you have a specific thing that you have to come with, so an outcome. Because you don't want to just meet people and talk, hey, what do you do, etc. No, the outcome is very precise. And so they meet those people every day, so they understand what each people does and why they do it, what do they bring actually to the product, which is really important because you might not realize in the beginning, but a person that does his job every day has no idea what the other do. So if he has a question, he doesn't know who to ask to, and he can get lost quickly. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you have a buddy. So you have a person, not necessarily in your team. It's more we choose, okay, hey, sometimes, you know, for the sales, we prefer to give him a customer success because we think, hey, the customer success will tell him, be careful, don't sell to these kind of customers because they won't be happy, it's not the right use case, or that's the way you should onboard them, so before you give it to us. So it really depends on there is not a real rule, but we give you a buddy, and this buddy is gonna see at the end of each week, okay, so what were the outcome of each of your meetings, what did you learn? There is not an exam, but there is like a bunch of questions he get asked at the end of the week. And okay, so let's say if I ask him, what is he doing exactly? How could he help you on that? And this buddy will stay all over the lifetime of you as an employee, like your referee kind of.
Wow.
And that's funny. The people love it because, you know, you feel, okay, it's not my boss. It's just a guy, you know, he knows about me. He knows when I came. And that helps a lot, I think.
I think there's something really powerful about it being from another department because you're breaking down those departmental silos immediately.
Yeah.
And setting the tone for how people work together around some of the common goals inside the business, which is very cool. So Phil, in terms of culture, so making sure that people understand and live by the values, you know, how do you make sure that that's the case? How do you first of all go about building values that you think people are going to buy into, but then also making sure that they buy into those and embody those values?
Yeah, well, I think you've got the luxury when you start a business of involving the whole business in that process. So, you know, in Peakon, we did our first offsite. We kind of, first of all, had this culture of like taking the whole company away. So I think 5 months after we started, we did the first one, and we did a session on like what should this company be about? Like what should it really stand for? Because we had our own ideas as founders, obviously, but we wanted to get the founding team, which is probably 10, 12 people at that time, involved in that, and like a lot of the core like you know, concepts that we have, like, you know, transparent open salary model, you know, those kind of initiatives, unlimited holiday, like kind of came out of that initial offsite. And then it's about, you know, bringing everybody else on board. So, you know, we invest pretty heavily with having multiple offices in kind of bringing the team together 3 times a year. So we took everyone to Barcelona in May because we beat the sales targets. So we do it somewhere nice. Otherwise, we do it at the office if we haven't beat the sales targets. But so far, it's going well. And you know, really instill, like, you know, tell the story of the company. How was it founded? Why did we start it? And what are the values? And then, of course, we have our own product, which we dog food. So, you know, we run Peakon, and we can kind of measure what people's actual perception of it is. So, you know, what I see as a CEO might be completely different to what people are really thinking. And then we'll share those results back with the team on a regular basis.
Now, how are you, Benedicte? I mean, obviously it's a fairly new company. I guess you get to build the culture from now, and it's probably evolving. Do you see it solidifying, or do you see it sort of still trying to kind of find the natural culture for Clustree?
I think you're always trying, in fact, because the company evolves, the person you have evolve as well, and you, as a founder and CEO, you have to evolve as well. So I think it's like, at the beginning, I started with that top-down culture, so it was more my culture, like the way I behave,
Right.
and then try to recruit people that looks like you, and then it's like bottom-up, because you need to have like some complementary approaches in your employees, and you need to adapt as well. But I think what is important is, of course, to assess the culture before that the person comes, but also to onboard them before that, so that they can discover the culture before they arrived. So, for instance, what I will do for 2 persons that will arrive in October is also like bring them into the Hollands, even if they are not here yet, bring them to events, make them meet everyone in the company in a one-on-one, a very informal way, so that they don't discover the culture by myself only,
Right.
but also like in an informal way,
Becomes a
discover
collective
everyone.
culture.
Yeah, collective culture and discover people. And I think this is really important then to also make evolve the culture with the people you recruited. So yeah, as a founder, you also need some people that fits with you, your culture, but that will also add something different to the culture of the company.
Right. I think one of the challenges that a lot of SaaS companies face is how you make that culture extend across geographical boundaries. So a lot of European SaaS companies will look to the US and look to other bigger markets to really grow their addressable market. How do you make that culture translate? How do you build, Phil, in your case, the Peakon culture in, I don't know, France or Germany or the US?
It's a good question, and I think it's something that definitely previously in my career, I worked at various other European startups. So in Quipe, we had a situation where France hated Germany, hated the UK, and I think that was really born out of the fact that nobody really travelled between offices. So it sounds pretty basic, but we've invested pretty heavily in. We have apartments in the cities where we are that employees can just use, and you can take as many EasyJet or Norwegian flights as you want, and we let people work anywhere. And that's like super important. And like when you join the London office, you will spend your second week in Copenhagen. So everybody kind of knows everyone, and that's like it pays for itself like over and over again. So it's not particularly rocket science, but like it's easy to say, okay, we haven't got the £30 that it costs to fly between Copenhagen and London, and that's like a very slippery slope.
Ryanair's pretty good value at the moment, Phil. You didn't mention those guys.
No, due to recent events.
And Jonathan, you've obviously been pretty proactive in expanding your geographic footprint. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned, what worked, what didn't work?
Yeah, I mean, very early we decided to go to US because we really thought the call center phone system industry is really advanced there. So pretty early actually was one of our first steps. We moved to San Francisco, then in New York for a time zone difference, was easier with Europe, and we very quickly find out that there was many problems of having 2 offices. People were not aware of everything and so on. Like 2 different teams in 2 different office might be lost because they didn't know what's the new feature, how the new feature works, etc. Might sound very easy when you are like, you've been working with the company for ages and it's obvious that it works that way. But for employees, it's not obvious, especially in the New York office where we don't have any tech guys, no product guys, it's only salespeople and customer success, so very business oriented. So they were getting lost. So what we did, first of all, is that every month there was a person of each team going at least for 2 weeks, just like to show them, hey, how we work, what's the good processes, how things works in general, because it might not be obvious. We even sent one of our customer success, like our first hire actually, which was an intern and then become like our head of success. We sent her for 3 months there because we were just starting the office and we thought, hey, she needs to bring the culture, the processes we have, and so on. So it's very important. And the other thing is that we do every week, and it's super important to us. So every Sunday night, we send an email with the recap of what happened last week in like each team. So the manager of each team, so business, success, sales, etc., sends a little note, what happened, what can we expect for next week. And this is like a recap that is being sent on Sunday night in an email with our growth rate. We are very transparent with figures and so on. Everyone knows our MRR in our company. And on Monday night, so there is a little like speech of either like one person of the company that says, okay, so that was the big thing that happened, and just we just read a little bit this recap. We ask Q&A, so we make sure everyone is aligned and knows where we are heading and what's the the objective or the targets of this week, this month. We are very still short term. We look very short term, even though we are quite big. But I think it's good for employees that in wherever they are, they feel okay. This week that's the challenge. Next week it is that. Next month, etc., etc. So that's how we do it.
Very good. And Phil, I mean, from your perspective, I guess communicating and aligning people to the objectives of the company and making them feel that they're part of it. What sorts of things do you guys do in that regard?
I would say very much the same as Jonathan. It's about having a regular cadence. I mean, we do all hands every 2 weeks. It's kind of mandatory attendance. I think you as a leader in a company, you have to be visible as well. So you have to just get on the plane the entire time. So I actually split my time 50-50 between Copenhagen and London. Just as a matter of course, no matter what's kind of going on. And then, then it's kind of down into the individual teams. But again, I think transparency is a key word there. There's no reason to keep any kind of internal metrics or goals or hidden from the employees. So we, even our board meetings, we will do a readout of the full board deck the next day to all employees. So kind of everyone knows what's going on.
And so that's critical, right? Not just getting the employees on board, but getting the board sort of behind everything that everybody's working on. What more could the board be doing? So let's think about some of your investors. Maybe Benedicte, you can take this one. What more could they be doing to motivate and develop your employees?
So first, I think that what we say to employees is you should invest in yourself by yourself. So it's not like the company role to develop employees or the investor role to do that. They should be super proactive in it. So we have unlimited budget for learning courses or for books, for instance. Then we think that investors should be at the service of the company, and it's not only the founder. So for instance, what we do with some VCs is before the person arrives within the company, we build mentoring programs. We have a recruiter that will arrive in October, I guess. What we did is he will have a 2 days mentoring programs, and he will meet 4 companies, one that is rocking it around recruitment, another one around onboarding, another one around development, and then culture. And this is done with the help of investors because they will open their portfolio and find the right experts and the right companies in their portfolio to build that mentoring programs for a recruiter, for a CTO, for a VP sales, for instance. This is one thing. Then there is another thing that I truly believe in is the fact that VC should have direct relations with employees. It's not about founders or people on board, the key people, but all your employees should be comfortable with the fact that they can talk to your VC, and it's a different relation because then they can have advices on how it works in other companies. They can be reassured. They can have a benchmark. They can also talk about you, like the CEO or the other key people, with the VC directly. And so it can help them to grow and to maybe be better, not in their job or skills, but in their behavior and in their culture and in their involvement in the company, I think.
Fantastic. So we've got probably 5 minutes left. So I'm going to open it up to some of the questions that have come in from the audience. So the first question is around remote working. What are some of the pros and cons of remote working? Do you guys embody it in any of your organizations, and does it work?
I think it can work for sure. We were pretty reticent. I have been personally. I'm not a huge fan of creating another rod for your own back when you don't need it. That having been said, now we're at a bigger stage and we've got the right processes set up and the right expectations for remote work. Then we got a fantastic opportunity to hire a developer that basically couldn't work in Copenhagen, and a head of data science with a PhD who could only work in London. And then we were like, okay, it's about time to kind of open this up, but with the proviso that you're always online. You come to the meetings. We do everything on video. We've invested quite heavily in that infrastructure, and in that case, I think it works. And we have a flexible policy for all employees actually, but it's just it has to fit in with your day job as well. So we
Try
don't
and make it the exception rather than
we
the
don't want
rule,
an
I guess.
SDR to like work from home permanently
Right.
because like that's never going to build the culture. But like if they need to, then nobody asks any questions.
Jonathan, you're smiling. It sounds like you've got some horror stories to share.
Yeah, I mean, I'm smiling because from the beginning on, I was really shocked when I heard about that. I'm coming from a very different background. I used to be a banker, and that doesn't exist. And so when people tell me I want to work remote, I just imagine him sleeping the whole day. That drove me crazy. But of course, with the time, I learned, especially developers, that they're serious and they can work from home. And of course, an SDR or sales, you don't want them to work from home because you're not be able to train them. So in the beginning, I was really reticent about it. I learned to get to accept it more and to think, okay, hey, I understand maybe sometimes you have like something going home or you prefer to work from home, but I don't push it so much. I prefer to avoid it even because, yeah, for the culture it's really important because unfortunately, when you give the opportunity to want to go remote, you don't know why the week after everyone wants to go remote one day, etc. And one thing that happens is that when they go out on Friday, everyone is remote. So I try to be very picky. Yeah, it's really hard to put rules on that, I guess. But
But you have to, because for instance, I don't like that either, but like control freak maybe a bit.
Where do they have to work their 80 hours a week, Benedicte? Coming from the office, starting at 6 a.m.
No, but the thing is you have to put some rules because now sometimes we have like everyone takes 1 day per week remote, and then it's like Friday 10 a.m. Oh, I'm remote today. Okay, so you wanted to sleep or you went to bed quite late yesterday, or sometimes it's like I'm remote. I have veto for my pet. So you're not working remote, in fact, you're just bringing your pet to the veto. So yeah, you have to put some rules. So maybe say in advance what day in the week you will be remote, and they organize your week around that.
Okay, so I've got time for a couple more questions. Let me see if there's any interesting ones. They're all interesting, but which is the most interesting? So for Benedicte, how come you don't use any AI in your recruitment, despite the fact that you have it in your product? I think you mentioned that your product's more for enterprise, right?
No, yeah, it's for enterprise because in fact we're focusing on leveraging the natural talent pool of the company, so the received resume plus the existing employees, because we deliver like matching for career path and learning courses and so on. And so under 2,000 employees, you are more into like searching for passive candidates, and we are under 2,000 employees. But we use our solution to assess like resume we received with the AI of Clustree, of course. But then, of course, I believe in both, like AI plus human. It's not like AI against human recruitment. It will not replace like a human for the cultural fit or the personality, for instance. So it can give you ideas, it can like open new opportunities, it can break the silos, but you will still need an HR or a human then to make the decision at the end.
Right. Petri's teeing up the sort of the end of the employee life cycle. So why not spend more time on firing rather than hiring? Which is kind of an interesting question. But how do you guys go about dealing with employees that are obviously not working out? I mean, do you try and redeploy them? Do you try and put them on performance plans? Or do you fail fast? Do you think that just cutting the tie immediately is the best thing all around? Well, Phil, maybe you can take this one.
I think it's a case-by-case basis on this. We've definitely redeployed some people successfully, I would say, who maybe weren't getting on in a customer-facing role and then moved into a different type of role. We've moved people between offices, and that's worked out good. I think, often you get someone who's actually quite important to the early culture, and, maybe the person who's making all the memes and putting them on Slack, you wouldn't necessarily want to get rid of them, you might want to redeploy them. Right. If someone's not hitting their quota like 4 months in a row in an account exec, you're probably not going to move them into engineering. So I think, you definitely need to fire people too.
I think probably one last question. So you mentioned outcomes at every stage of the onboarding process. So what are some of these outcomes that you're looking for? Can we just some concrete examples maybe around different functions?
I mean, basically, like one nice example is like, let's say a sales guy comes in and he has a meeting with the product team. At the end of this meeting, the outcome is like, I want you to perfectly know each integration we integrate with. So Aircall, we integrate with several CRMs and so on, so to improve the workflow of the company. So, and they're very easy to set up, but they're sometimes to use might look easy, but it's not so much. You need to be able to explain that to someone else. So the outcome is like, okay, how would you do it? Now show me a demo after this meeting you had. And so he's supposed to do a demo at the end of the week to like another sales member that will judge his performance and say, okay, yeah, you did that, but you forgot that, and you did it like that. We said it better to do it like that. So have a little income. It doesn't have to be complicated. Don't over-engineer. We really over-engineered in the beginning, and finally we figure out that simple is better. And on this thing, it is how we do it.
So I guess it's introducing the concept of peer reviews quite early into the culture of somebody being at the business, which is kind of key. Yeah. So to Facebook, I think 10% of everybody's bonus is their peer reviews, which is.
We do OKRs actually for each of our employees, so they all have a specific objective over the quarter. It's not like a target; it's an objective. So hey, what do you need to accomplish? And they stick to that, and it's very good for product, for marketing, and for engineering as well.
Wonderful. Well, listen, unfortunately, we could go on all day. The time's up. We'll be around, I guess, for the next hour or so over lunch, so grab any of us if you want to drill deeper into any of these topics. But in the meantime, I want you to join me in thanking my incredible panel. Thank you, everyone.